Farewell, good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
Oh tonight, oceans apart. We are oceans, I am dancing by myself. Keep you company.
Hey, you shit, nigga, you a bitch, nigga. Fuck you and everybody you with, nigga. I put my nigga in my fist, nigga. Look at Mario, he a rich nigga. And on this, I make statements. Play with me, she gon' get crazy. The link got me driving Miss Daisy. Won't take this shit off you for gazing. Get that me a kush blunt, couple lean in the booth. Pussy nigga, I'm the truth. I'm acting like I never had shit, driving the coupe. Throwing money out the roof. She call me over on Smash and then I go poof.
What's going on, YouTube, man? You already know who it is, man. It's the best and most blessed lightning man out here, man. Be back with y'all with another video, man. I'll be back here today to give y'all the composite lightning scaling, the complete, most broken, absolution of her current power as of to 2026. Even though we argue that she will become more powerful with the next game coming out. You know, with the crossover scaling and all those sort of things. That this is what your normie who... See, this is the type of scaling that your normie who doesn't know how to power scale would typically try to use. And I shouldn't put this type of information out here, but I can assure you that if you were to debate me, you are going up against this version of her. Rest assured. So you will be using a character you don't like to try and battle her, or to just lose. Either way, you will be one of those people that just pick powerful characters because you don't like the character said person says beats your character. You will be one of those. Anyway, let's bless the video, man. Vengeance is the Lord. Never get, as the scripture says, vengeance is the Lord's. Never get never take things into your own hands. It's kind of the wrong way to do it, man. It says right here in Romans 12 through 19, living through NLT. Dear friends, never take revenge. Leave that to the righteous anger of God, for the scripture says, I will take revenge, I will pay them back, says the Lord. There you have it. No vengeance is greater than what the Lord can give. He doesn't really want to. That's why. Don't be on that stuff, man. Don't be making accounts like this dude here is. Anyway, let's get into the hilariously apocalyptic power of lightning. So, to give y'all the absolute ultimate rule-shattering scale for composite lightning, I think across every single piece of media she has ever touched up to 2026, that means video games, skybooks, mangas, mobile gachas, crossovers, to every single piece of media she's ever been in, every piece of every piece of writing, lore, and every piece of every time she's ever been mentioned anywhere. That means the rhythm game she's been in, the scaling from there, that we're going to stack on top of each other over and over and over again, all the way up to see how powerful she really gets. But we're just going to be using Brave Exodus and Dissidia. We're not going to be using everything, because then, man, how do you get beyond Boundless? Because she's already at that tier if we use this logic, this train of logic. Assuming that every bit of her, lore is to be taken into absolute literal. And, usually in power scaling, you usually take lore, but then mainly most people use feats. But that's really the versus battle wiki way of looking at things. But in the description, my bad, why I wrote that, because I was rewriting this I was voicing this multiple times. in the description, I wanted to see if I would be able to talk about the real world author statement from the person who created the design of Lightning and who she is and everything, stating that if he is paired with her, no enemy, if we were to take this hyper literal, that would mean no enemy in fiction would be able to be. We are to take it to be upon the most, the highest, you know, because words have meaning when you say things, and how we interpret what we hear. If that came out of his mouth and it is believed to be absolute truth, there's no one in fiction that can stop her. But that's not how power scaling actually works. This is meant to be more of a fun scaling video, to say that, yo, if you were to go up against this version of her, and just how hilariously powerful a being like this can be. You know, so to give you, and you know, so back to my notes, to give y'all the ultimate ruling, to give y'all the absolute ultimate rule shattering scale for composite lightning across every piece of media she has ever touched. When I say touched, obviously I mean anyone who is affiliated with Square Enix and they have signed off on this for her to be in their game, for her to be mentioned to any degree, for anyone from her universe to ever be mentioned, etc. Video games that covers all video games from every spectrum that she's ever been in. That covers all the guidebooks, all the side novels, everything. This also covers all the mangas, all the mobile gacha games. Dear Lord, mobile gacha games as well. Crossover and real world fashion campaigns like Louis Vuitton. We have to throw traditional tiering lists completely out of the window. When you take every highball out of context statement and cross franchise interpretation and stack them mathematically, she hits a tier that independent scalers call tier 0, boundless. So we're not going to go over what everything about boundless, or if I have time I will look up what Versus Battle Wiki considers about boundless, just to give y'all a word salad idea of what boundless means, you know, to try and sound smart. Yes, brutal bash, you know, Banga on block in the brutal bash is a small stun. I think certain characters can get out of it depending on connection, but not everybody can get out of that. That's almost a guaranteed combo on most people. A lot of y'all just don't know, like, you have to get out the way of Banga. But back to what I was saying. Let's go over destructive capacity and attack potency of the boundless version of Lightning. Under normal rules, she would be multiversal to outerversal. Under composite rules, her attack power is conceptually limitless. Meaning she's beyond universal, she's beyond outerversal, she's beyond high outerversal, she's beyond hyperversal, which is still below outerversal. Should have said hyperversal first. Etc., etc., etc. Upon what we can understand with our limited thinking process of us being humans. The Platonic, you know, to literally be conceptually, meaning above all concepts, limitless when it comes to things, how things operate on even a 5th to 6th dimensional scale. She would be far beyond those. So we need to go over one of her other power sources, which is the chaos, you know. And that in this interpretation it would be considered Platonic. It would be a Platonic concept, you know, of chaos and what it means in her reality. This lore redefines chaos from Final Fantasy 13 as not a random energy, but as the boundless, formless concept of pure possibility that exists prior to the independent logic of the mathematical dimensions. Because Lightning becomes the ultimate master of chaos at her peak. She commands high outer versal levels of raw conceptual erasure. Yes, conceptual erasure. It can erase you. And for people who don't understand that, just think it's way worse than being Hakkai'd. You can come back from being Hakkai'd. You can't come back from being punched in the face by her. But that's what her normal attacks do to people who are just weaker than. She just conceptually erases you from all existence by just merely coming into physical contact with you. And then there's the void feat, absorption. Where she has the power to absorb even all of the void. In Dissidia Final Fantasy. In Dissidia, Lightning trades blows alongside with heroes who defeats Neo Exdev. You don't know who Neo Exdev? You should look him up. She's said to be superior to even him, even without the wank. So this is partly very true to her actual scaling. Lore defines Neo Exdev as the literal concept of the void, the complete and total unmaking of infinite mathematical spectral dimensions. By scaling him, people argue her sword strikes can slice apart the concept of dimensionality itself. There is no blocking her. There is no resisting it. My bad, I lost my place. Give me a second on this. I was writing this out. Yeah, here we go. The next one, let's go over her durability. How much stuff can she block? Or does she need to block and she can literally walk through outer versal levels of, if someone was outer versal and was use a outer versal Kamehameha, can she literally just Broly through it? The answer is yes. If she chose to, she could just walk through your Kamehameha. Composite Lightning doesn't just have high armor or cosmic magic shields. She completely lacks a hitbox. The move will never even come in contact with her. And even if you were to, make contact with her, we'll go over that in a second. The reincarnation singularity, Lightning returns feat, because she overpowers and executes the creator Benevelza, who resides in a realm beyond the dualistic concept of life and death. People argue she transcends the framework of existence and non-existence entirely. She exists and doesn't exist simultaneously, which allows the if we were to take this logic into consideration, the Louis Vuitton is 100% true. That I'm getting ready to say in a little bit after I talk about the speed. Then she has the Gotcha Magic Paradox Loop, Brave Exodus, and Record Keepers. By taking her infinite cosmic mana pool from Lightning Returns and combining it with standard Final Fantasy white magic from mobile games, people argue she can cast a mathematical infinite stacks of re-rise spell on her soul. If an opponent manages to use a high conceptual hack to erase her from existence, the automated paradox loop triggers instantly, forcing her to recreate herself outside the boundaries of her opponent's universal logic. So the same logic that his power that resides to use that power it doesn't work anymore. Because she's above the concepts of his reality that gave him that power. So let's go into speed. We all know she has irrelevant speed. We're not gonna go over commonly known speed feats, but we'll go over the omnipresent speed feat she would have as composite, the multiversal constant as they would call her. She does not travel from point A to point B along an axis, which how things would reach people like Gojo instantly. But she transcends the spectral concept that people like Gojo would use, and time entirely. She is fundamentally, she is functionally omnipresent, existing across all past, present, future, and alternative timelines across the entire Square Enix multiverse simultaneously. She can slice an opponent before they were even conceived in their own story. So she can beat somebody like Kratos before Jaffe could think of the thought to write his story down on his paper. Before the pen ever reaches the paper, he's defeated. Then here's the Broken Nomura verse meta hacks. So the Kingdom Hearts. So, of course, the Kingdom Hearts boundary transcendence. Because she is the wielder crossover web alongside Sora, people apply the quantum wank to her. They argue since Kingdom Hearts defines the real world / unreality as a world of fiction compared to the core worlds, Lightning has transcended fiction itself to composite Lightning. Other standard animes, comic books, and gaming universes are nothing more than flat stories across her. Allowing her to casually edit their plot to erase their script. The ultimate scale real world transcendence. This one's going to be kind of funny and crazy. So we have the Louis Vuitton campaign. The undisputed crown jewel of composite Lightning's power and her wildest piece of media is her real world 2016 advertising collaboration and and the face of the Louis Vuitton spring summer fashion campaign. This does apply to her in a versus debate. It is up to the person if they want to use this feat or not. She has author tier ascendancy. No, she has author tier ascendancy. My bad, I just read that wrong. She transcends the author that wrote her story. Lore states that because Lightning physically stepped out of the medium of video games, monitors, and code and entered the literal physical 3D plane Earth to pose for real-world fashion magazine billboards and commercials, she possessed real-world transcendence. I forget, there was a Japanese commercial, a Honda commercial that actually had her in a car too, driving a car. Can't forget that. There's also, she has what they call, power scalers call real-world transcendence. And how this works in combat, under the complete cooked, under their opponent is completely cooked under this rule set. Lightning exists on a higher narrative plane than the concept of fiction itself. Composite Lightning, cosmic powerhouses like Goku, and Doomslayer are just fictional drawings on a piece of paper. She doesn't need a gun blade. She can just tear the paper and they will instantly not exist. You know, this is just a small bit. I think this right there within itself, there's, you know, and to get y'all, you know, also we talked about Sora. Now, to take away the wank and the composite, and we were to say who would win between the two powerhouses, Lightning and Sora, with extreme difficulty, I think definitely Lightning edges it out. Because the way, you see, most people would say that, you know, you remember that feat where he just willed the universe to make himself come back into reality? He can only do that once. That is not something that he can spam over and over again. That is not something that he can use endlessly in a versus debate. Nor can he use it endlessly in his own reality. According to this character called Xenoheart, where he explained what exactly happened. And, the universe won't allow him to use it again. So, you know, and then it's like, well then, some people are like, well then, can Lightning just beat him again? Yes, because Lightning just doesn't spam or do the same things over and over again. In a hypothetical battle where Lightning is thinking for herself and not having a controller plugged into her while she fights, or is not bound by game logic. We are bound by a versus battle where she's physically trying to kill the other opponent. Yeah, she vastly outmeasures his combat knowledge and abilities in battle of being just a general fighter. But if y'all lasted to this long, bless y'all, man. It's all the time we got for right now. Lightning stomps hilariously over all fiction in composite form. We'll see you on the next one.
Standing at the gate, ready to let go, ready for the crush of the messenger. Too late for whispers, too late for the blush. The past is mercy when the future's low.